Hello, and welcome back to another creepy and true Louisiana tale. Tonight, I take you down to Houma, Louisiana, Bayou Terrebonne. That's right, y'all. We have another installment of our Bayou Witch series. This one, The Kissing Witch, Celeste Olivier. Celeste owned a fruit stand down in Houma. She also made fresh fruit pies. People always talked about how good they were and all of the special ingredients she used. You see, Celeste was descended from the indigenous people of the area, the Houma Indians. So she knew quite a bit about natural remedies, different things in nature, all types of stuff, even magic. She was quite a pleasant young woman. And being that it was the mid 50s and she was still unattached, no children, it's quite unusual for those times, but Celeste was a free, independent spirit that always did whatever she wanted to do. Now, there were a lot of people who didn't like that about her, but she didn't care. But she was very popular. And when people were sick, feeling under the weather, a baby had colic, an earache, they always turned to Celeste Olivier to get them to feeling better. And it was always her pleasure to help out. Now, she always had a lot of suitors, people that came from far and wide wanting to take her hand. Celeste always politely declined. But you always have that one. There's always that one who thinks because he has money and status that he's entitled to get whatever he wants. Not with Celeste. William Bordelon was his name. People were afraid of him because of his money and his status. And it is quite unfortunate that he did always get whatever he wanted. He put his eyes on Celeste and determined he was going to get her any way he could. Now, Celeste never treated him any differently. She was always pleasant whenever he came in to buy something. But one particular day, he comes in and he tells her that he wants to take her on a date. He has a proposition for her. Celeste smiled, told him she wasn't interested. And William told her, by one way or another, I'm going to have you. Celeste just smiled, asked him if he wanted to buy a pie or buy some fresh fruit. He told her no, and he left. The next day, She goes in to open up her fruit stand, and she's informed by the landlord that her space has been sold to someone else. She asks him who, but she already knew. And he told her Mr. Bordelon had come in and purchased the space earlier that morning, and that he wanted it completely cleared out by the time he came around that afternoon. No problem. So Celeste packed up all of her things and went back home for the day and set about finding a new place to set up. But Mr. Bordelon wasn't finished. He came a knocking on her door, thinking he had done something by buying her out of her shop. And with confidence in his voice, he looked at her and he says, "Miss Olivier, will you now accept my invitation to dinner? I have a proposition for you." And again, she told him, "William, I am not now, nor will I ever be interested in you or your proposition. And just because you have bought and purchased people in this town doesn't mean that I'm for sale as well." Well, Mr. Bordelon did not take too kindly to this information, and he let Celeste know, "I'm not going to stop until I get what I want." And Celeste just smiled. And she said, "Are you sure about that, Mr. Bordelon?" And he said, "I'm positive because nobody ever tells me no." Celeste once again smiled, and she told him, "If that is how you want it, then so shall it be, Mr. Bordelon." Now, Celeste was a woman of many good and positive talents, but she could also be very dark if she needed to be. William Bordelon was one of those people that you just had to deal with in a certain kind of way. And Celeste was going to prove to him that he had fucked with the wrong woman. You see, Celeste had a special gift for showing up in people's dreams. Oh, Mr. Bordelon must have thought when he went to bed that night he was going to sleep pleasantly and peacefully. But Celeste had other plans. She showed up and she told him, "Mr. Bordelon, you can part company peacefully with me, I suggest you take my offer and leave things as they are, or else. Now, of course, William Bordelon wasn't the type that believed in witchcraft and hoodoo, but he wasn't too keen on Celeste being in his dream. And he went to her that next day and he told her, "You're fucking with the wrong one." And she corrected him and let him know, "No, sir, you are fucking with the wrong one. Now we can part peacefully and end it here, or it can continue and I'll be the one to end it for you." William was a stubborn bastard. And he took that as Celeste declaring war on him. That night, again, she showed up in William's dreams and she let him know, "Mr. Bordelon, this is your last chance. Go peacefully and quietly, or else." And with that, she blew him a kiss. Now, William woke up feeling like Celeste had really been there, and he's looking around his room. Maybe she really is a witch, like people say. But he was not the type of man to admit to giving in to such a silly thought. Now, by this time, Celeste had found herself another space to sell her fruits and her delicious homemade pies. And it was all out war with William at this point. So he shows up, this time with the police in tow, to shut her down again. And Celeste simply looks at him and blows him a kiss. Now that shocked him. But again, William was not a man that would give in to these types of things because he had money, he had power. His influence ran deep and he was determined. Now he wanted to get rid of Celeste permanently. Well, he wouldn't get a chance. Because that night, when William Bordelon went to sleep, he didn't wake up the next morning. They found him in his bed, face twisted, eyes wide, hands clutched, fingernails bloodied. He'd been scratching at his face. Strange thing though, he had the impression of lips on his cheek, as though someone had given him a kiss. Needless to say, nobody cared about his demise. Everyone felt like whatever happened, he got what he deserved. Needless to say, Celeste got back into her old space and went back to selling her wares and her delicious homemade pies. So you see, folks, things don't always happen in the physical world. Sometimes you pay for your transgressions in the spiritual one. So the next time you find yourself down in Houma, Louisiana, go on ahead and find one of those fruit stands that still sells the same recipe, those delicious pies that Miss Celeste Olivier used to make. And beware of who you mess with. Be kind to everyone you meet. Or you just might end up getting a special kiss. Goodbye.